Stop. Look at your hand. Seriously, look at it. You are looking at a miracle that shouldn't exist. Right now, trillions of drifting atoms, mindless particles that have been floating around the universe since the dawn of time, have somehow agreed to come together in an incredibly intricate, specific pattern to create you. They don't care about you. They don't even know you exist. If you picked yourself apart with tweezers, one atom at a time, you'd just be a pile of atomic dust. None of that dust is alive. But somehow, when it all comes together, you are alive. This arrangement is so specialized that it has never been tried before in the history of the universe. And it will never exist again. And here is the terrifying part that this book forces you to confront in the very first chapter. These atoms are fickle. Their time of devotion to you is fleeting. One day, maybe 50 years from now, maybe tomorrow, your atoms will quietly decide that their time as you is over. They will shut you down, disassemble, and drift off to become part of a cloud, or a tree, or a sea slug. And that will be it. The miracle is over. If that thought makes you feel a little small, a little scared, and remarkably lucky, then you are ready for this book. Most of us walk around in a trance. We think the ground beneath our feet is solid. We think the air we breathe is guaranteed. We think we are the masters of this planet. A short history of nearly everything is the wake-up call you didn't know you needed. It exposes the uncomfortable truth that we are essentially clueless tenants, living on a planet that is constantly trying to kill us. We live on a knife edge of luck. We exist in a universe that is mostly dead, empty space. We live on a planet with a molten core that could blow us up at any moment. We are surrounded by invisible microbes that ruled this world for billions of years before we showed up, and will rule it long after we're gone. Why does this matter? Because living in ignorance is a luxury you can't afford. This isn't just science history. This is the story of your survival. If you don't understand the chain of lucky breaks that got you here, you are sleepwalking through the only life you will ever have. This book is going to strip away your arrogance and replace it with awe. And if you think this doesn't apply to you, just wait until we get to the supervolcanoes. But here's the wild part. You might think a book about science is going to be dry, boring, and full of formulas that give you high school flashbacks. You would be wrong. This book isn't about equations. It's about the maniacs, the weirdos, and the obsessive geniuses who figured this stuff out. It's about scientists who stared at the sun until they went blind, guys who dug up bodies to study bones, and people who weighed the entire Earth inside a shed. This is where the book flips everything you thought you knew about how we discovered the universe. It's chaotic, it's messy, and it's deeply human. I'm going to walk you through the chaos, chapter by chapter, from the Big Bang to the present moment. Buckle up. Chapter 1. Lost in the Cosmos. Imagine shrinking a proton down to a billionth of its size, packing it into a space so small it makes a needle tip look like a mountain, and then waiting for it to explode. That's how everything started. This chapter tackles the Big Bang, but not the boring textbook version. It explains that about 13.7 billion years ago, there was nothing. No space, no time, no darkness, just nothing. And then, in a single blinding pulse, we went from nothing to everything. In 3 minutes, 98% of all the matter that will ever exist was created. Why is this so hard for us to grasp? Because the human brain is wired for local survival, not cosmic understanding. We understand cause and effect. If you drop a glass, it breaks. But the Big Bang breaks our logic. There was no before. There was no where. We struggle with this because our egos want us to be the center of the story. But the universe's origin story doesn't even have a setting until the moment it begins. Think about your TV. When you tune it to a channel that doesn't exist, back when we had static, about 1% of that dancing static is actually ancient background radiation left over from the Big Bang. You are literally watching the birth of the universe in the fuzz on your screen. The creator of everything is ghosts in your machine. Here's the part that stings a little. If the universe had formed just a tiny bit differently, if gravity were slightly stronger or slightly weaker, you wouldn't be here. Matter wouldn't have coalesced. We are the winners of a cosmic lottery with odds so low they are statistically impossible. You are a fluke. Next time you feel overwhelmed by a deadline or a breakup, look up at the night sky. Remind yourself that you are the result of a 13.7 billion year winning streak. Your problems are temporary. Your existence is the anomaly. But being here is only half the battle. Because now that we have a universe, we have to realize just how incredibly lonely it is. Chapter 2. The Size of the Earth. We spent centuries trying to figure out the shape and size of our home, and the people who did it were largely insane. This section covers the mad quest to measure the Earth. We meet Isaac Newton, who was brilliant but weird. He stuck a needle in his eye just to see what would happen. We meet Henry Cavendish, a man so shy he communicated with his servants by notes, yet managed to weigh the Earth in his shed. It reveals that science wasn't a straight line of progress. It was a series of arguments, feuds, and accidental discoveries. Why did these men obsess over measurements? Because humans crave certainty. We are terrified of the unknown. We need to quantify our cage to feel safe in it. The drive to measure the Earth wasn't just about maps, it was about control. If we can measure it, we can master it. Or so we think. Imagine a guy named Guillaume Le Gentil. He spent years traveling to India to measure the transit of Venus, which helps measure the solar system. He missed the first one because of war. He waited 8 years for the next one. On the day of the event, after 8 years of waiting, a cloud slid in front of the sun. He saw nothing. He went home, discovered his relatives had declared him dead, and looted his estate. That is the history of science. Failure, bad luck, and persistence. This chapter exposes a truth most people never admit. Genius is often indistinguishable from madness. The people who built our modern understanding of the world were often socially dysfunctional, obsessive, and deeply unhappy. Progress requires a level of obsession that destroys a normal life. Today, do this one thing. Embrace the messiness of learning. If you fail at something today, remember Le Gentil. Persistence matters more than immediate success. Don't let a cloudy day stop your life's work. But knowing the size of the Earth is one thing. Knowing what lies beneath your feet is a much scarier proposition. Chapter 3. The Fire Below. You are standing on a crust of rock that is thinner, relatively speaking, than the skin of an apple. Below you is a shifting, burning hellscape. This section dives into geology and plate tectonics. It explains that the Earth is not solid. It's molten, moving, and violent. We learn about the discovery of tectonic plates, an idea that was ridiculed for decades before being accepted. It explains earthquakes, volcanoes, and the fact that the ground you call home is actually a raft sliding over a sea of magma. We suffer from permanence bias. We assume the mountains and oceans have always been there and always will be. We deny the fluid nature of the planet because it makes us feel insecure. We build cities on fault lines because we prioritize convenience over reality. We gamble that the big one won't happen in our lifetime. Imagine Yellowstone National Park. It's beautiful, right? Geysers, bison, tourists. Yellowstone is actually a supervolcano. The crater is so huge you can't see it from the ground. The whole park is the crater. It erupts roughly every 600,000 years. The last eruption was 630,000 years ago. You are picnicking on a ticking time bomb that, when it blows, will bury half the United States in ash. Insight. Here is the wake-up slap. The Earth doesn't care about civilization. One good shake, one big burp from a supervolcano, and everything humans have built, pyramids, skyscrapers, the internet, is gone. We are not landlords here. We are temporary tenants with a shaky lease. From now on, whenever you see a mountain or a valley, ask yourself, how did violence create this? Shift your perspective. See the landscape as a frozen explosion, not a painting. But the danger isn't just coming from below. The real threat might be screaming through the sky right now. Chapter 4. Bang! The impacts. There are rocks the size of cities flying through space, and occasionally they like to visit. This chapter discusses asteroids, comets, and the impact theory that killed the dinosaurs. It explains the Manson crater in Iowa, a massive hole you can't see because glaciers filled it in, and the Chicxulub impact that ended the Cretaceous period. It highlights how much space junk is out there and how little we watch it. This triggers our denial mechanism. The idea of an asteroid impact is so catastrophic, so total, that our brains categorize it as fiction. It feels like a movie plot, not reality. But statistically, it's a certainty over a long enough timeline. We ignore low probability, high consequence events because they paralyze us with fear. Imagine a rock, roughly the size of a small mountain, hitting the Earth. In 1 second, the atmosphere compresses and heats up to temperatures hotter than the sun. Everything within sight of the impact instantly bursts into flame. A wall of darkness travels at thousands of miles an hour, flattening cities. This happened. It killed the dinosaurs, and they were around for way longer than we have been. This chapter exposes a truth we avoid. Extinction is the norm. Survival is the exception. 99.99% of all species that have ever lived are gone. We assume we are special, that we will last forever. The dinosaurs probably felt pretty confident too. Stop sweating the small stuff. Seriously, you are worried about an awkward email? You live in a shooting gallery. Use this perspective to radically reduce your anxiety about social trivialities. So the universe wants to kill us, the Earth wants to kill us, but surely life itself, our own biology, is on our side? Well, if you're still here, this is where it all clicks. Most people stop changing right here, and that's their biggest mistake. They get the doom and gloom part. They get that the universe is big and scary, and they tune out. But this book isn't just about how we die. It's about how we live. The fact that you are here, despite the volcanoes, despite the asteroids, despite the freezing void of space, is the most incredible part of the story. Now we are going to dive into the stuff of life, the biological machinery that keeps you running. This is where you learn what you actually are. Chapter 5. The stuff of life. Cells. You are not a single person. You are a colony of 10,000 trillion independent citizens working together. This section zooms in on the cell. It explains that your body is made of cells that all have specific jobs. They kill themselves for you, apoptosis. They fight for you. They produce energy. It also covers the discovery of DNA and the realization that all life is one. We share 50% of our DNA with a banana. This challenges our sense of self. We think, I am me. But you are an emergent property of trillions of little robots. We struggle to understand complexity, so we simplify ourselves into a single ego. But realizing you are a collective can actually be liberating. Your body is an ecosystem designed to survive. Think of a single cell in your body like a bustling city. It has power plants, mitochondria. It has garbage trucks, lysosomes. It has a government, the nucleus. It has highways. And here's the kicker. The mitochondria, the power plants, used to be separate bacteria that we enslaved, or that invaded us, billions of years ago. You have alien DNA living inside you, powering your every move. Here's the part that stings. Your cells don't care about you, your personality, your dreams, your career. They care about survival. They will sacrifice parts of you to keep the core alive. You are a vessel for your genes. Your biology is ruthless. Try this. Treat your body like the colony it is. Feed it what the cells need, not what your tongue wants. When you eat junk, you are poisoning the citizens of your own country. But how did these cells get so complex? How did we go from sludge to Shakespeare? Chapter 6. The Road to Us. Evolution isn't a ladder of progress. It's a drunk walk through a minefield. This chapter covers the history of life, from the first bacteria to the rise of humans. It explains the Cambrian explosion, where life suddenly got complex. It covers the multiple mass extinctions. It traces the path of our ancestors, the small, furry mammals who hid underground while the dinosaurs ruled, and the early hominids who decided to stand up and walk. We have teleological bias. We think evolution had a goal, to create us. We think we are the pinnacle of creation. Science says, no, we are just the twig on the branch that hasn't snapped off yet. Evolution doesn't care about better, it only cares about works for now. Imagine the history of the Earth compressed into a single 24-hour day. Life begins at 4 a.m., but it's just boring bacteria for the next 16 hours. Dinosaurs show up at 11 p.m. They rule the party for 45 minutes. They die at 11:40 p.m. Humans? We show up at 1 minute and 17 seconds before midnight. All of recorded history, every war, every king, every invention, happens in the last few seconds. This chapter exposes the fragility of our dominance. We haven't been here long. We act like we own the place, but we are the new kids on the block. And we are the only species that is actively trying to destroy the habitat that keeps us alive. We are smart enough to understand the universe, but stupid enough to poison our own water. Drop the entitlement. The world doesn't owe you existence. You are the result of a billion lucky breaks. Act like it. Be grateful for the air, the temperature, the gravity. It could all change in a second. And that brings us to the final, uncomfortable realization. Insert these types of beats during the flow. If your ego is getting defensive right now, thinking, I'm important, I matter, pay attention. That's your biology trying to protect you from the truth of your insignificance. This is the part people avoid. We love to look at the stars, but we hate to look at the bacteria. Why? Because the stars make us dream, but the bacteria remind us we are just meat. If that stings a little, good. It means you're finally understanding the stakes. Here's what empty space actually means in real life. We are made of atoms. You know that. But you don't realize how empty an atom is. If you made the nucleus of an atom, the center part, the size of a fly, and put it in the middle of a sports stadium, the electrons would be buzzing around in the highest seats of the stands. Everything in between? Empty space. That means you are mostly empty space. The only reason you don't fall through your chair right now is because of electromagnetic fields repelling each other. You aren't sitting on the chair. You are hovering above it, suspended by force fields made of emptiness. You feel solid. You are a ghost. We started this journey as drifting atoms. We survived the freezing void. We dodged the asteroids. We crawled out of the oceans. We survived the ice ages. And now, here you are. A sentient collection of stardust, capable of holding this book, capable of understanding your own origin. The universe is impossibly vast, incredibly old, and fundamentally indifferent to you. But against all odds, you are here. Life is a singular, precious, one-time event. A short history of nearly everything. Here are 5 things you can change today. Stop sweating the timeline. Earth history is long. Your life is short. Stop waiting for the right time. The clock is ticking on your atoms. Respect the invisible. Wash your hands. Respect viruses. Understand that the smallest things have the biggest impact. Ditch the arrogance. You are not the master of the universe. You are a lucky guest. Treat the planet like a rental you want to get your deposit back on. Embrace the unknown. The smartest people in history, Newton, Einstein, knew they didn't know everything. Be curious, not certain. Celebrate the luck. When you wake up, take a breath and realize the odds of you breathing today were effectively 0. You already won the jackpot. You have been given a ticket to the greatest show in the universe, conscious life. Don't sit in the back row with your eyes closed. Look at the stars. Look at the bugs. Look at the rocks. It's all a miracle, and you're part of it. Now, go do something worthy of that luck. This has been a short history of nearly everything. If you want to keep exploring the universe with me, hit that subscribe button for Audiobook Arcadia. We don't just read books, we dissect the ideas that change lives. I'll see you in the next one.